わさびアニメすごいですね。
Hello, hello. It is I, your wonderful host of Wasabi Anime, here representing Origins Game Fair. And today we have a rather special guest. And I'm incredibly biased in the sense that I think that they're special because we played a game together. And they're going to talk to us about this wonderful game and just the shows and the media that it intersects with, because Our Traveling Home has a really soft place in my heart and I want it to stay there forever. So Ash, tell me a bit about who you are.
Hi, my name is Ash Kreider. I am a queer trans non-binary person and game designer. I have been publishing games since 2008. So prior to Our Traveling Home, you might know me from games like The Watch, and what are other things that I've done? The Starlit Kingdom and The Straits Are Not Okay. So I also, a long time ago now, used to be a feminist games blogger before I stopped.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so cool.
I have a lot of strange microfames.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't done that since 2016. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's cool. I feel like I might have some questions off camera because I just feel like that is an experience that I would love to hear about, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so to get us started, Our Traveling Home, I have played this game with you. It felt so beautiful. What were some of your inspirations for this game? How did you manage to craft something that just touches your heart and makes you want to cry and hug all of your friends at the same time?
Okay. My main inspiration for the game was Howl's Moving Castle, like obs. Prior to the pandemic, I tend to write kind of dark games, like The Watch,
The
which is
Watch.
yeah, The Watch. Let's have lots of bad feelings about patriarchy, and you win, but it's still lots of bad feelings about patriarchy.
I cried so hard when I played that game for the first time, and I was playing it with like two people I've never played games with before. So to be that vulnerable, that game destroyed me. Destroyed me.
Well, then don't play Factory Reset, my game about sad feelings about robots.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, and then the pandemic happened, and I was like, I cannot work on these depressing games. I can't. And then I had this experience of, my daughter is 8. Now she's gonna be 9. Pretty shortly. And so we've been like kind of introducing her to like our favorite media since we have so much time. And so we introduced her to Howl's Moving Castle, and like I've seen Howl's Moving Castle like a jillion times, but getting to watch it with her for the first time was a really interesting experience. And kind of halfway through the movie, it clicked like, oh my God, this is a trans love story. Because Howl and Sophie are both trans, and that is a hill I will absolutely die on.
When you first told me, like, you didn't even tell me so much. You just made it a fact. You stated it, and it was a fact. In my mind, kind of had to like make a couple of adjustments, and then it was like, oh my god, how did I not realize this?
Right. I've been watching this movie for so many years. I've seen, and now I'm like, oh my god. So, yeah, that was like definitely the biggest inspiration, but also like so many Studio Ghibli forms or films ended up inspiring it as well. There's and a lot of kind of the Japanese genre of honobono, which is just like really wholesome, feel good kind of stuff. Those were like definitely the primary influences on this particular game.
Do you have a favorite anime or show of that genre? Or like, is it Howl's Moving Castle?
It's Howl's Moving Castle. Spirited Away is a very, very close second.
Yes.
And I would have said pre-pandemic that it was tied with Princess Mononoke, but like I love it, but it's it's too much right now. I feel like I will return to it post-pandemic and have some good times rooting for San, but yeah.
No, that's
So
very
Howl's Moving
valid.
Castle is definitely yeah, because it's got everything. Trans love story, found family. You know, you've got these really just like wonderful, like beautiful scenes of like domesticity, and there's like so many places where you can kind of fill in story in between the lines in a way that's really wonderful.
How did you find gamifying that was? Like, how did you make a mechanic around that storytelling aspect?
Well, I stole from Takuma Akata, who is extremely smart, and I had recently played with my gaming group their game Stew Pot, which is
Yeah.
a game about a group of fantasy D&D adventurer types who retire and start a tavern. And I had a teen mom paladin who was also the chef, and
Oh, that is so cool.
yeah, it was great. I had a pet mimic who was also our popcorn machine. I can't recommend this game highly enough. It's so good. So I just played that, and like it's a game that's very structured around creating the same kind of feel. Like you play through mini games where you kind of select characters and answer questions, and they have different mechanics. But you create a story through these little scenes that you play together that ends up creating a very cohesive story, and just like a really nice, chill, feel good kind of vibe. So I was like, well, obviously that's what this is. And I ended up drifting it quite a bit mechanically.
Okay.
Yeah, Stew Pot is more like a bit free form, just kind of asking questions and whatnot. I mechanized like there's a whole like ending resolution mechanic that doesn't exist in Stew Pot. That's a game where it's just like, okay, well now you're done. But it makes sense. It's just like do a montage. Now it's over.
Yeah.
But because I was trying to do homage to Howl's Moving Castle, it needed a bit more like support for making that ending happen.
That's fair. And I can say from experience that ending was I mean, I want to use the word satisfying, but also like you feel sad and you feel fulfilled. So satisfying, but with all the feelings that come with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Uh, yeah, that game that we played on One Shot, like wrecked me for a couple days.
I still think about that game, you know? Like it's one of those things I can look back and reflect upon and just be like, that was wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to ask. Okay, so we have some of the art kind of cycling through, and when we had played, oh my word, we did not have this art. It is
No.
beautiful, beautiful. Like a purple hedgehog? What inspired that?
All of so all of the things in the art were taken actually from the very first playtest campaign that I ran
Really?
with the same group of friends that I actually played Stew Pot with. So they're a group that I just vibe super, super well with. And my friend Jerry I've known for a long time, and we played a lot of games together. So I was like, hey guys, I have this game and I'm gonna test it on you and see how it goes. And it was a great campaign. So yeah, everything in the book is like kind of little details taken from our campaign. So the purple hedgehog was during chore day.
Oh my gosh.
Sable, our child character, made friends with this magical purple hedgehog that had, invaded the house and made it a pet, and its name is Grumbles.
Ah,
Yeah, right.
that is
And
so
there's
wholesome.
a lot of kind of Easter eggs that are things from our campaign that are recognizable to 5 people, but are still very funny. There's an illustration of the monster who has like bird claw hands trying to use a potato peeler.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and it's It's very funny.
And again, like I could visualize that so easily in a Miyazaki film because it would just be it's that domestic kind of activity, but it's gonna go wrong because they're dealing with their own monstrousness and the feelings that are associated with that. And I
Mhm.
heckin' love that. That is just so wonderful.
I was pretty pleased with it. Yeah, Claudia is great.
Claudia,
Uh
because Claus?
no, sorry, the artist, Claudia.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Oh gosh. Her last name is Italian, and I can't remember if it's a hard G or a soft G. Claudia Cangini, I'm guessing. Hopefully, I didn't get that wrong. She's great. I've worked with her for a long time now, and I'm very glad that she lets me torture her with incredibly detailed art specs.
Oh my gosh, they're absolutely wonderful. All right, so let's rewind time a little bit. So before our traveling home, you had worked on The Watch. Were there any inspirations that came from that? Because I do not think that touches on anything I've ever consumed as media.
I would say that I mean, The Watch was something where I made it more because there weren't really anything. Game of Thrones was kind of big at the time, and
Okay,
like
yeah.
some other like dark fantasy stuff, but like it was all like dudely. And so, very dude oriented. So I wanted a game about women and queer folks, and non-binary people. So I as far as anime inspirations, Mononoke is probably pretty far up there in terms of like my descriptions of the shadow and how it like twists and
Yes.
perverts things. Um, uh, Princess Mononoke, the Dear God stuff deeply wigged me out. Like, I didn't see that movie until I was an adult, and I still like had
Really?
nightmares. Yeah,
Oh my
body horror is a
goodness.
bit of a thing for me. So
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fair. Like the boar with the when it was sick as well, like that scene. I don't have issues with worms under normal circumstances, but the way that it's animated, it gives me goosebumps every time.
yeah, and the Dear God kind of stomping around after he loses his head, or even the Kodama, like the way their heads rotate. I just
A little shaky, yeah.
yeah. Uh, so yeah, I would say that kind of accidentally influenced myself from that. But previous to our traveling home, I think the most directly inspired anime game that I did was the Starlit Kingdom. Um,
Yes. Okay, what is
oh
that
no.
about? Tell me, because I know I'm going to love it.
Okay, so this is a game that nobody wanted to play, so I stopped trying to promote it. Like literally, I would go to conventions and no one would want to play it with me because it's about Sailor Moon. I was like, come on, Sailor Moon is
It
amazing.
is everything.
It's my love letter to the first arc of the manga as opposed to the anime series, where they really like lightened up the like, oh, we all had a past life, and they just really gloss over how like those two periods are connected.
Mm-hmm.
But in the manga, it's like, nope, everyone dies. Venus kills Beryl with a sword.
Like,
Um, the,
what?
the, the queen just rips everyone's souls out of their still living bodies and sends them into the future. And now the moon is a barren hunk of rock floating through space. Good times.
That's so much more metal than like Child Me. I mean, I only ever watched the anime. I've never read the manga. So like it was sold to me as very light, silly, fun, adventurous. Not dark as heck like that. When like you telling me this like it
Mhm.
surprises me, but it doesn't, you know?
I love the anime as its own thing. I think they are very similar but like distinct things. The thing I love about the manga is also uh the romance between Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask is much less objectionable.
Oh,
Uh,
really? It's
yes,
bad.
Tuxedo Mask. Yes. So, well, you need to read the manga. I'm telling you,
Oh
because
my
in the manga,
goodness.
Tuxedo Mask falls in love with Sailor Moon because she's so strong and powerful, and he's just like a guy with a tuxedo. Like literally, he's just
What?
I don't have powers. I'm getting myself in over my head, and Sailor Moon keeps saving me, and she's amazing and strong and powerful. So like he's the one that falls in love with her.
I love that.
So it's really great. Yeah. That said, I do love some of the later seasons. I love Sailor Stars. I love Sailor Moon S. Those are both great seasons. So not gonna rag on the anime too much.
I mean, that's totally valid. It's there's just so much content of that to absorb as well. And I think there's a lot to be said nowadays about the magical girl genre. Like Sailor Moon really birthed an entire genre of anime and manga.
Yeah, and I feel like most of the shows that came after it didn't really capture like the gay magic of Sailor Moon. Like Sailor Moon was hella gay.
So gay.
The most gay. Like Haruka is like my gayness like fashion goals.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. What Haruka refuses at any point to like assert what their gender is in any way, shape, or form. And I'm like, yes, I'm here for it.
Idolize that. That is the power I want to harness.
But yeah, so the Starlight Kingdom, to get back to the original question, you can still buy it on Lulu if you want. It's I've hacked Polaris several times now, actually. So it uses Polaris, which is a very like rules light, like almost no dice rolling kind of storytelling engine for telling the story of the destruction of Moon Kingdom, and you everything's tragic and then you die, and the game ends when you all get sent. Yeah, the game ends when everybody dies and their souls all get sent to the future. So
wow.
It's
my heart.
Not a game I would play right now, but if you're in the mood for some like sad feelings about Sailor Moon, it's a great game.
Oh my goodness. So like, have you watched, because again, so Magical Girls kind of branching off into different iterations of it. Madoka Magica really taking that dark edge of magical girls and then having them all die. Have you seen that show? Because I think you would hecking love it.
I haven't. So I have an almost 9-year-old, and that has I find it really difficult to watch subtitled things. It takes a lot of ADD spoons, and so I've gotten a bit more into like JRPGs because I just find them, I don't know, I find it easier to focus on them, probably because the translations are pretty decent. But I still have an aversion to watching anime. I don't know, dubs are a lot better than they used to be, but like they have come a long way, but I still I have the memories of how bad the first Sailor Moon dubs were. They were so bad.
So bad. The translations weren't very good.
No, they weren't.
The voice acting. Oh.
Yeah. So
but I wouldn't change a thing, because I have that nostalgia kind of set into my brain, and I love it for what it is.
Oh yeah. It's definitely like the nostalgia like protects it from judgment, like the nostalgia shield, but like it's definitely a big part of the reason why I prefer to watch things not dubbed if I can. But
oh heck yes.
So yeah, I haven't seen Madoka Magica, but like, so I feel bad because like when we're kind of exchanging lists of like what anime I'm up on, like my list was so 90s. Like
it stops at about 1999.
Yeah, it really does. It literally does. So like Utena was a big one. Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh my gosh, Rurouni Kenshin. I read the manga for that one. I've never actually seen the show. It used to be on Shonen Jump, and I would have those big ass magazines delivered to me, and like my brothers, we would kind of like take turns sharing it, and like the idea of like just like a dorky samurai doing his thing, it was so wonderful to me.
Yeah. I see they're playing some Utena on the screen.
Ooh.
I love Utena. Like I actually rewatched it recently, and it mostly holds up.
I wanted to ask. I need to rewatch it because I don't remember it for what it was. And so your rewatch, did you feel the same as you did the first time you watched it?
I did, and I still hated the ending in exactly the same way. I liked 95% of it up until the last half hour, and then I was like, ah! I don't know. It's like 20 years old. I think we're okay to talk about spoilers at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
The ending is very like, well, because you refuse to, because you refuse to conform to your gender, we're just gonna like grind you down into nothing, and that's
Yep.
the end.
So if we remove that from our brains, this show is honestly perfect. If that
it's perfect.
Yes,
it's extremely gay, just like very surreal. Like it has trauma lesbians, but like in a good way, like not the bad way.
Mm-hmm.
I love Anthe and Utena's relationship. I think it's great. I just hate the ending where they're like, well, if you won't conform to your assigned gender, then bye.
Guess you gotta go.
Yeah. And it's kind of hilarious that like I was 18 or 19 when I saw Utena for the first time, okay. And because I'm old as shit. And I literally said, I want to be Utena when I grow up, and managed not to think about that for like another 20 years. Like literally, I was just like, let's take those feelings and never examine what they mean or what could be the result of that. And we're just going to put them in this Midwestern box, and we're going to close it up, and we're going to put it
I just finished doing a panel. Oh, literally, yeah, in a closet in the basement, that way it's pushed back where you won't think about it, and then deep down where it's repressed.
Oh yeah.
I just finished doing a panel where we were talking about pride representation, or representation in D&D, but then we got off topic and started talking about representation in media and how important queer representation is. And what every single one of us had to say was we had consumed media like Revolutionary Girl or Sailor Moon, and there was always these characters that we had attached ourselves to, and it was like you just said, I want to be them when I grow up. That's what I want to look like. That's what I want to be like. And then you get past a certain point and you're like, oh, but no, I don't know why I said that. That's silly. Just, when I role play in tabletop games, I always play a non-binary person every single time, and they're always queer. They can't not be. But I wasn't non-binary. Nonsense. Queer? Me? No. So, like, all of this media that was available to us at a rather early age, to just not be able to, like, properly absorb it and consume that and put it into ourselves, it was a bit of a frustrating experience. So I'm happy you were kind of able to re-experience this show.
Yeah. It's not every show from 20 years ago holds up to a rewatch. Oh, yeah. I'm a bit afraid of going back and rewatching Rurouni Kenshin, frankly.
Same.
I loved it, and it's not anime, but I did try and rewatch the 90s X-Men cartoon. And
does it? No, really? Really?
It's not good.
Oh my gosh. That's one like Jubilee and Gambit.
I know.
I loved that.
I watched like literally every episode.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no. So I'm afraid of rewatching. I'm afraid of rewatching Kenshin. Cause I did like I watched it took me a long time, but I watched the whole series. There's so many episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the time for like series that long these days, to be honest.
Manga goes a long way to help with that. Like that's a lot of hours.
I want to introduce my daughter to Sailor Moon because I have the whole run of the manga, and yeah, like at the beginning of the pandemic, when libraries were closed, I was like, all right, what do we have in the house that the kid can read? Because she's a voracious reader, and I was like, all right, well, let's see how you do with these. And she loved them. it took her a little bit longer to get through the last through Sailor Stars, just because that's like a little bit of a darker arc, and that was kind of intense. But like, she really loved them. So now I'm kind of thinking about like, okay, can I do like a curated list of episodes from Sailor Moon?
Oh goodness. I mean,
Yeah.
it might be up her alley, like the remastered version that's on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet. I don't even know what it's based on, like what season, what series.
Is it in Canada? I just assumed that it would be on American Netflix and not in Canada, because that's how Canadian Netflix do, and it's very frustrating.
Why are you speaking truths? I'm
Right?
going to look it up right now because it has been on my my watch list mentally. I'm almost certain it is available. Yeah, it is.
Yes. Okay. I know. That's great.
There you go.
Doing it. My day job, I do marketing, and there are some parts of marketing that are extremely boring and tedious. And so that's when I have TV on my other monitor. But my current rewatch of Voyager is almost done. So I will move on to Sailor Moon next. That's exciting.
I'm catching a bit of a theme: strong women in power.
Yeah.
You know,
found family.
Found family.
Hardcore. Voyager is not at all gay, but that's more because of Rick Berman than anything.
Just watch Discovery.
I have been. Yeah, I'm almost done with season 3. I'm really behind, but
hold on, to not get us too off track, but I have to say this. I just finished streaming with Anthony Rapp, who plays in Discovery as one of the queer characters, and like, he is amazing. Amazing. He laughed at my jokes, so we're basically friends.
I like seriously got emotional watching the episode where one of the characters comes out as non-binary, and everyone's like, cool.
Isn't that beautiful?
And it's like a non-issue, and then like literally the next episode they're like respecting their pronouns and expressing positive things about them. And I was like, like, I watched all of TNG and Voyager with my parents, because my parents were extremely nerdy, and my parents met in grad school for my parents met in grad school for chemistry, so liking Star Trek was not an option. But I would have died to have a character like that, when we were watching those series together, because it would have been so helpful,
validating.
It would have been nice to know that, like, oh, that's a thing you can be,
and it can be okay. Yeah. Instead, child me wanted to be Vegeta when I grew up from Dragon Ball Z, because I had no concept of like what my options were.
Yeah,
that's spoiler. Have not become Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. I'm far too kind for that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a mood. I mean, I still like Utena. I think is the closest to, like, I still want to be Utena when I grow up, maybe with shorter hair, but
right.
But like, who wouldn't want to be able to like just pull swords out of their partner and go to town on folks?
There's a power move within that, and it's something I've always wanted to harness.
Yeah.
We've got somebody in chat. I propose that Frieza is non-binary, and I stand by that, because growing up I thought Frieza was a girl, and then it became I was 100%. I thought Frieza was so cool. We have a villain character that is a woman, and there are no outward like sexual sex organs. He just was, and I hecking love that. And he was ruthless. Like, Frieza was an absolute dick, but like that, again, as a kid, I gravitated towards the characters that weren't really morally correct. And then when I got a little bit older, it became clear to me, like, crap, Frieza's a guy. But no, they're just a space alien who wants to dominate the world, and therefore they can be non-binary. And again, to address in chat, Frieza was not a robot. Frieza was a blood being. The episode where Trunks cuts them apart, you can see like the inside of their body and everything, and Frieza definitely bleeds in all of the fights that he faces Goku. I'm gonna start saying they. I don't care that it's not canon. Frieza is officially non-binary to me. Thank you, chat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially with non-binary characters, like unfortunately, headcanon is all we have.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, they're just characters where it's just like they're non-binary. You can't tell me like that character's a robot. You can't tell me that they have an opinion about gender. Like
right?
Penis or vagina, pick one. I'm a
I
robot.
yeah.
What? Yeah. The other thing is like I know literally so many non-binary people who like looked up to villains in media.
Is this
because
normal?
because you know, in the 90s and 2000s, like all the villains were queer coded, so now you've just got all these people where like it's like there's literally no heroes that represent you, and it's what the villains do. So I'm too ace to understand this, but I also have a lot of friends who are like very villain sexual, and I like understand yeah, I like intellectually understand how that happened, but like I just kind of made confused ace face when I can't process it emotionally, but I definitely see how people ended up getting there.
I mean, my favorite trope to kind of throw back to is I don't know if you ever watched Pokemon either when you were growing up or like even with your daughter, but like the OG Pokemon like Kanto and Johto.
Oh yeah,
Team Rocket.
Oh my god,
so queer, and like I wanted to be both of them.
Like, and James's first voice actor was like, he was so gay. He was just like,
I have in my head, you know.
Yeah, that is like James for me. But yeah, my brother was 12 when Pokemon hit, or sorry, my sibling was 12 when Pokemon hit the United States. So yes, I have seen all of the like the OG Pokemon. But yeah, like Team Rocket, man, like extremely, you know, and like it was just never a thing. Like half the time James was, you know, like James was wearing a dress and Jesse was wearing a killer tuxedo, and like no one said anything.
That energy. It just was, you know, except it was meant to be a comedic trope. But like as a kid, I don't think I ever processed the comedy in it. I was just so in awe at their ability to, at the time, like I interpreted wearing clothes that weren't meant for them, because they did it, and they did it so well. You know, they dressed up in disguise, and James would be a Nurse Joy, and Jesse would be a rugged construction worker, and it's just like, it was ridiculous, and I loved it. I wanted to be them both at the same time. And reflecting upon that now, after you've stated like so many of our villains in the 90s were queer coded, I hate that. And I hate that I fell into that trap.
Oh yeah, no, all of them. If you think about it, like Ursula, Scar.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, just anything Disney, queer coded villain, straight up. If it was in the 90s, queer coded. And like anime was a little bit better, because you could like, especially in, you know, like Sailor Moon and Utena and things like that, you would see lesbians, and you would see characters that you could like headcanon as non-binary, but like there was going to be nothing to support that. But like definitely like almost no like gay men.
No, that did not come into anime honestly until the past 10 years.
Yeah.
I watched. Go ahead.
And like, so, you know, Sephiroth, I think, is like kind of the iconic, like, you know, more JRPG than anime, but like extremely queer coded, very, very bad guy. Or Kefka. My husband is bisexual and kind of got obsessed with Kefka when he was younger.
Really?
Like, yeah. Also extremely queer coded villain. So.
Oh my goodness.
But I really enjoyed the Final Fantasy VII remake. There are people who are like, no, all of the main characters are trans. I'm not on that particular boat.
Okay.
My headcanon is that Aerith and Cloud are trans. And that Tifa's their token cis.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I'm very supportive of this headcanon. Thank you for introducing it to me.
Yeah, I support people though who are like, no, they're all trans. I feel like that's also fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see how you could look at Cloud and not go, that is a trans masculine person for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even back when like early OG Final Fantasy and like these folks were just little triangle shapes, you still got those vibes, you know?
And I was honestly so relieved about the one like cross-dressing section, because I was like, oh God.
How did they handle that?
The transphobia in the original game went completely over my head.
Okay.
Because I played it in high school, and
Yep.
I grew up Catholic in the Midwest, so it was just like,
what is that?
Flew over my head. They actually did it in a really like nice and respectful way. It was, you know, it was more about like, it was framed through the lens of drag, but like, more like performing, you know, a different experience of gender because it makes you feel powerful. And then there's the other character who's explicitly ridiculous and made fun of in the original Jules the gym leader. And like in Final Fantasy VII Remake, Jules is just running a gym, doing pull-ups and squats in like half drag, like killer boots, wig, makeup, and then just like workout clothes. But like, and no one says, it's just like, no one says anything about it. Like, it just is. It's great. So
I really love that. Really quickly, I just want to remind everybody watching about Origins Game Fair. This is going to be at the end of September. I want you all to join us in Columbus, Ohio, or online from anywhere in the world. Badges will go on sale June 26th. Just head over to originsgamefair.com to learn about this big show. And I know we've talked about this online, Ash, but like, are you going into any conventions this year? Will I get to see your fabulous face?
Probably not in 2021. I have a kid and she is not 12. So I don't know when she's going to be vaccinated.
That's very valid.
The timing does not look good for being feasible with going to conventions, unfortunately. So definitely in 2022. A little bit sad about it because I do enjoy Origins. You know, like I'm from Columbus, so it's definitely like a very easy convention for me to go to. It's always nice and chill.
This will be my first time going, and I have a very important question. If I dress up in cosplay, will I fit in?
Oh,
right? I need to know that. I got to figure out what am I gonna wear.
What kind of cosplay?
Like a Sailor Scout?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
My lovely husband cosplayed as Yuna from X2 one year.
Okay.
And crushed it. Just looked absolutely great. But in terms of like getting stared at by the norms when you go to get lunch or something, people were visibly confused. But yeah, like
I can handle that.
You know, definitely there it's not as big a thing as at Gen Con. But like I don't think you'd be out of place or anything.
Fabulous. As long as I'm not the only one in cosplay, like I just got to make sure I can find like that other person that made the same mistake as me, and then we'll be good.
I also got to plug my you know, my crew that I always hang out with at Origins and Gen Con, actually, Games on Demand. Very nice queer friendly space where you can go play tabletop games. You kind of don't know what you're going to play until you show up. It's a situation where they, you know, have GMs who are prepared to offer several different games, and people kind of pick what they want to play as they get there, and it's all kind of randomized. But yeah, it's definitely like my go-to space.
I love that. I love the idea of games on demand. So for like folks watching the stream who might primarily divest themselves into anime, if you are ever looking for a group to play tabletop games with, there are so many options are available. Conventions, games on demand, online. There's a variety of like Magpie Games. They're running Avatar the RPG right now, and it's just like you pay for the service. It's a pretty decent fee, like $15 a game, and then you get 4 hours of game time with like a professional GM who will walk you through the safety tools to make sure everybody is safe at the game, because that is integral to any tabletop game. Safety first, and then you guys can, or you folks can have as much fun as you want afterwards.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Games on Demand. Is a great space to try out games in a really like welcoming and supportive environment. I've seen a lot of people get their start in tabletop RPGs through that. I think there's also like a lot of great, weird, scrappy, nice stuff on itch that's worth just like downloading and like getting together some friends and like saying, let's play this. Like Stewpot is one of those. It's great. It's very easy. It's literally just, you know, pick a game. It's maybe 1 or 2 sheets of paper. You read the instructions and it's like asking each other questions to like build a story. It's very easy. There's another one. Oh God, I can't remember the full title. It's so long and it has no capitals.
It has no capital letters?
No capitals, no. Street Magic? I can't remember. It's great.
I know
it has like a bluish cover and like a picture of a bus stop with a heron. That's another really great one.
I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic?
Yes, that's the one. Thank you. I do that every time I want to pitch that game. I'm like, the full title will not stick in my head.
You got to think like a Canadian first and start your sentence with "I'm sorry," and then you continue. You know?
Yeah. You know, and because capitalism, I'm gonna pitch my own thing. Our Traveling Home.
Here for.
It is what I'm here for. Our Traveling Home was explicitly written to be very friendly for people who love anime but who have never played tabletop. So I actually hired an editor who has never played a tabletop role-playing game.
How did that go for them?
It was actually very useful.
Oh gosh, I love that.
Because yeah, she was I've been publishing since 2008, and there are things that, you know, I didn't really think of that are just kind of very common jargon in tabletop that Jen was like, what does that mean? And I was like, oh dear, let me remove that. So yeah, it's written very like it's written for people who, you know, any level of role-playing experience, from have played lots of role-playing games to have never played any role-playing games. And there's like also a lot of like extra support and hand-holding for people who need that to feel confident in, you know, sitting down to tell a story with their friends. But yeah, I actually, one of the play test campaigns I ran, I played with someone who had only played D&D, which is extremely different.
Yes.
Yes. And it gave her like a lot of anxiety in the beginning. But like by the end, like she was great.
Oh my gosh.
It was great. Yeah. So I would say, you know, Our Traveling Home was definitely written to be a very good like kind of intro game. For anime folks who are looking to dip their toes into role playing.
It flows very well too. Like, so if memory serves, you have your playbooks. And for those who are unfamiliar, playbooks are a category of a character archetype that you're going to play. So there's like the cursed, the monster, the child, all very similar
the
themes.
Wizard.
Yes. Very clear themes from, you know, a certain film. But
yes.
So you go through, you pick a name, and then you pick, I wish my eyes could read that. Could you walk me through a little bit of like the character creation process?
The character creation process is pretty simple. You, the first thing is you pick a character archetype. And at the top, there's just kind of a description of what that archetype is and what their kind of main theme is going to be. So the wizard is someone who struggles to connect with people and has made a dark bargain with this demon. The monster that's on the screen right now, someone who used to be very bad and monstrous, but who lost their powers and is now just a weird monster living in the wizard's home. So there's you know, the first few things are some kind of lists. So you go through and you pick or create a name in the spirit of the names that are provided. You pick a gender. I had so much fun, sidebar, with the gender options for this one.
Can you read out some of them? Because I live and die for those every time I see them.
Okay, so all right, the child options were some of the most fun. There's girl, boy, maybe, yes, no, maybe not. Are like the child's options. And then like the wizard is there's some weird ones I can't remember. The demon is either irrelevant or like kind of unfathomable in a weird way. And then the monster's default options are either demon or witch. So yeah, like I had a lot of fun like making up genders that folks could be for that one. So yeah, it's some basic stuff, you know, a name, a gender, kind of like a basic description of like the clothes that you wear. And then the next part is just relationship questions. So it'll describe, you know, here's what the relationship between you and this character. So for the wizard, here's the relationship between you and demon, but here's a specific question. How do you feel about it? You know, and kind of cementing how everyone feels about each other inside the home. And then the last bit of it is similar questions about like the home and the world that you're traveling in. Just to kind of make it specific, like your home is traveling, but like, how is it traveling? I've seen some wild homes, y'all. Our one-shot game, we basically had a Katamari.
Yep.
Yeah, that was just rolling around the wilds. That was great. The campaign that I played that is illustrated in the book was we had a giant snake, like kaiju.
Oh my gosh.
The wizard had like stolen from the army because it didn't want to hurt people. And it had like a tower growing out of its back. So like we had a slithery snake tower. It was great.
This is so anime. There's
yeah.
7 Deadly Sins. They have a traveling house, but it's on top of a pig, like a kaiju-sized pig, and she's so cute. And there's just something so iconic about that as a theme, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, you know, it's just kind of answering questions about like, what do you find inconvenient about the home? What are, you know, what is your space inside the home looks like? And then from there, there's kind of a set of mini games that you play in Act 1 and a set of mini games that you play in Act 2, and then there's rules for kind of tying everything together. But each of the mini games is like, you know, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on how much you really want to get into the scene and really like take your time. But it's all just very like, so first do this, here's the decisions you need to make, and then, you know, based on this decision, here are some options of things that could happen. And it ends up, all the games that I've run, it ends up creating, you know, really nice scenes that kind of happen organically. I'm very proud. I am not proud of many or rather, I'm not able to express pride about many things related to my game design, but I am very proud of the fact that I managed to really like recreate that like very like cozy, homey feeling that you get from like a lot of Ghibli movies.
Yes, you captured that so well, so hecking well. And like, I know like Miyazaki films, like they're not like they're films, they're not like chunked into you know, like a 12 episode long series. However, like the way the acts are set up, so because I'm the person that I am, when I start a new RPG, especially when I'm unfamiliar with the system, I dive into, okay, what anime character can I play that I can play in this game? And then I take that trope I fill in the blanks with all of the information that you provided, and then now the way it's framed is like it's almost like an episode, like episode by episode, what happens in this act, what happens in that act. So it's very much like I get, only because I'm re-reflecting upon this, but I'm very much getting like this is a season 1 of your series, and I hecking love that. That is just so lovely, like to almost unintentionally capture that feeling too.
That's a very interesting approach. I think I have a slightly different approach where, for me, the thing I find most interesting in tabletop is relationships and how they change and develop over time. So I tend to have kind of a sketchy idea of my character when I start playing a campaign, but like a firm idea of like where relationships are at when we start play. And then like I kind of play to see how relationships change and develop over time, because that's and then how that like changes my character, because I find that kind of play very satisfying. I used to definitely be that person who you know, and maybe this preference is informed by being a parent, because I used to be that person who would do the 20 hours of Wikipedia research on a character concept. I no longer have that kind of time. But also, like, I was hugely embarrassed about 5 years ago when I realized that all my characters are just different aspects of me, and now I just lean into it. Like, I was playing a game that was of companions, that's, you know, kind of set in a very close to Doctor Who kind of space, and I was just like, look, I am just a hot AF quasi-immortal time agent that is non-binary and extremely hot, and like, this is my wish fulfillment character because the pandemic sucks, and I'm very grateful to my group for just letting me play it with an extremely straight face. I was like, this is what I need. This is the wish fulfillment that I need. So yeah.
And it's that kind of self-expression in tabletop games that I really, I wish I could impress upon the entire world. Like, you get to express so many different parts of yourself that aren't even yourself, but that might be yourself. Tabletop gaming is just like, you, again, for me, I watch a series, like I recently watched Jujutsu Kaisen, and I decided that I wanted to be Skuna. So what did I do for the next character I played? Covered my face in face paint, put some eyes on the side of my face, painted my nails black, and called it a day, because that was the truth that I wanted to live for, you know, that one session. And anime has kind of created that for me, mostly because I'm a little afraid to only play myself, because I did that for a couple of years, and I got to stop at some point. It's getting out of hand.
Yeah, I probably don't play quite as many games as you do. It's yeah, I find that, like, just like I have comfort anime, like in Howl's Moving Castle, top of the list. I ended up like in bed watching that the morning after I was recovering from my vaccine, and having the awful vaccine side effects. Glad I had them. They sucked. But yeah, like the same way that I like rewatch, you know, I have like a comfort series that I'm like, oh, I'm having a hard time, you know, I'm gonna watch this movie or this anime series. I have like comfort games, like just, you know, like let's just play like a really nice, small, lovely game.
I love that.
Space Post is really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just by Bully Pulpit Games. They're a great crew folks. It's just a really small game about you have a sentient spaceship and you are delivering mail.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so
it's
simple
great.
And beautiful.
It's really simple and really nice. Dream Askew, I also really enjoy, because it's a game about an explicitly queer enclave during the apocalypse. It's also very kind of rules light, you know, in terms of it doesn't even have dice rolling. It's just, you know, you can screw your character over to get a token that you can then later use to do something awesome. It's very nice and intuitive. So Dream Askew, very nice.
That's a comfort game for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, screw yourself over is maybe a bit strong, but in terms of
Okay.
complicate your character's life, you can complicate your
like
character's
that.
life. There's a lot of, like the game is about, building a queer community and kind of, I really enjoy that. And what's another comfort game? Oh, another game by the same designer, Avery Alder, The
Love
Quiet
them.
Year.
Yes.
Yes, that's that. If I'm having a hard time and I just want to like, look, let's just have a nice game about a community. Let's play The Quiet Year. And not something with happy endings very often, but still very much enjoy playing For the Queen is another good one
That's
session.
A good
like
comfort game.
Yeah, it fits that, like, it's very tropey.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what kind of story I'm going to tell.
Yep.
Right? Like, I know exactly what this game is going to do, but like, it's like comfort food. It's like when you feel like crap and you're like, I'm going to make myself a box of KD. It's like that,
Yes.
but like in a game.
Mm-hmm. You know how it's going to end. You know the
Yeah.
tropes that you're going to lean into. The only variable of the people you're playing with. And I love that.
Yeah.
I do want to rewind really quickly to The Quiet Year. Have you ever been able to play that game quietly? I always call it the loud ear because I'm shouting at my players and we're shouting at each other, or GM-less, but
I actually met someone who is a good friend now, and he was running a game of The Quiet Year, and we were quiet, and it was a challenge for me.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of angry faces and vibrating, but it happened. So it can be done, but like everyone has to like very much like buy in that's the thing.
We're in it at a convention and I couldn't get the player buy-in. We were also, a lot of us, like, we were just meeting in person for the first time after having talked online. So trying to get us to shut up was an impossibility.
Yeah, and conventions are like a difficult like space to play that kind of game in. I think it's worth playing with a group of friends.
Yeah.
And kind of like getting everyone on the same page, because it is a very interesting game when you play it with you mostly can't talk rule, because then like people get real intense putting down those contempt tokens.
Yeah, the little skulls.
Yeah, when they're like, I do not like, and there's a lot of like nonverbal communication that gets very interesting and intense, and I love it.
Oh heck, that game is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting towards the end. Do you have any closing statements, any self-promotion that you'd like to do? Is Our Traveling Home available anywhere just yet? I know the Kickstarter is just finished, fulfillment is in progress, but I don't know if there's any late backers available.
Yeah, so we're in about, this is regrettable timing. We're in about the 5 seconds where it is not available to people who didn't back the campaign yet. I had to close pre-orders so that I could finalize my numbers for the printer, because they have to make the books. But it will be available through Indie Press Revolution probably by the end of July. And also the campaign funded 432 community copies that
wow.
I know. I gave people the option to like provide me an email if they knew a marginalized gamer that they wanted to send a copy to.
I love that.
But anyone, I also told people, like, if you don't want to make that decision, or you don't have anyone in particular in mind, then I'm going to be making a pool of copies available on itch. So I've given my backers a deadline of July 10th. Hopefully they all respond by then.
I responded. I got you.
Oh yeah, no, you were great. I was like, there's B. But yeah, so it should be mid-July that the game will be community copies on itch for folks, because I did bump the cover price a little higher than I normally would, because I wanted to encourage people to support community copies during the campaign. And then print will be available through Indie Press Revolution, and I am like so pleased. It's going to be a really gorgeous book.
I'm
I
really
did the
excited.
layout myself for the first
Ooh.
time, and it was a lot. But I'm very proud of how it turned out.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. I also I want to already run this game on streams for people, but like again, because we're in this in-between phase, every time you run a game for somebody, it gets them so amped and so excited to want to play it and buy it themselves, and we
Mhm.
can't do that yet. You need to contact me as soon as it's available, like publicly, and then I will start
Oh
running
yeah,
games of this.
yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna make sure that the PDFs are. I'm not gonna make people wait until everyone has their books in order to get the PDF copies of the game. I just have to straighten out the community copy situation first before I can throw open sales. So it should be very soon.
Totally.
So if folks want to follow me on Twitter and for updates about when that happens, I am at WonderGeek, WUNDER Geek.
Fabulous.
I will definitely be letting people know when that happens.
All right, I have one final closing question for you, and it is the most important question out of everything that I've asked tonight. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
Who is your favorite Sailor Scout?
I mean, Uranus.
Yeah.
Like, it's like not even a question.
I don't know why I asked. I had to know. I had to confirm though. What if you answered somebody else, and then maybe we couldn't be friends, and that's okay.
I will admit, Neptune is a very close second, just because like she's a goddamn troll, and I like aspire to that energy, but like not in terms of gender presentation. Like she's very hard femme, so like Haruka is definitely number one, but like them as a unit,
it's just something powerful.
It's so powerful. I love it.
That is marvelous. Well, thank you very much, Ash, for coming on the show, chatting about just nerd stuff for an absolute hour. This has been a total delight. I'm wildly excited for your game to be available to the public. I know when I get my copy, I'm going to make all my friends jealous who don't have it, and that's fine. All right, folks, if you had fun with us today, why not have even more fun at Origin Game Fair this fall? Our hybrid show is in September 30th, 30, through October 3rd. Just the number 3, and I have to say it out loud because sometimes I lose numbers. And we're gonna have amazing games, panels, and events, and probably me in cosplay. So if that's something you want to go to Origin Games Fair for, definitely check it out. Badge registration starts June 26th, and as always, head over to originsgamefair.com for more information. I have been your host, Bee Zelda. You can find me on Twitter as @B_Zelda. I'm your regular, I was just about to read cosplayer. I cosplay from like the head up, so having to do something for like an actual convention is going to be an interesting experience for me. But I am your podcaster, streamer, TTRPGer, anime host of just a regular anime podcast, amongst other things. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and thank you so much, Ash.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Bye.